What's going on, movie fans? My name is Michael Weer. I love talking about movies and I love ranking movies, which is what we're going to do here today. Because earlier this year, I put together a top 10 most anticipated movies list of 2024. And just like last year, once they have all released in theaters and I've had the chance to see them, it's time to rank that list from worst to best. And with the release of Gladiator 2 last weekend, I can now rank everything from that list that actually came out in theaters this year. There were 3 that didn't come out, but more on that in a little bit. Hey, if this is the first time you're finding my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. Maybe you like movie reviews, movie rankings, series reviews. I've got a little bit of everything on my channel, or maybe you're just a Blu-ray collector. Well, I've got a ton of Blu-rays on those shelves back there. I'd love for you to check out my channel and let me know what you like about it down in the comment section down below. With that said, let's get into my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024 ranked from worst to best. So as I alluded to before, there were 3 films that didn't actually come out in 2024 that were on my top 10 most anticipated list. So while I can't rank those here today, I can talk about them. So the first movie on my top 10 list that didn't actually end up coming out was Saw 11. And I thought there was a good chance they were actually going to have this one ready because notoriously in the past, the Saw franchise has turned out movie after movie, year after year. And with the success of Saw X, it seemed very possible that they were on track to get Saw 11 done on time. But one thing led to another, and they have now postponed it to September of 2026. I don't know why it's been postponed that long. They said they wanted to make sure they get it right for the fans. So I guess I'm happy about that, but I'm still unhappy that we didn't get a Saw movie. And I'm really unhappy we have to wait till 2026. The next film that didn't make it into 2024 that was on my list was a film from a series that I was so excited to see more of, and that is Ballerina. Ballerina is, of course, a John Wick series spin-off film starring Ana de Armas as one of the Russian ballerinas / assassins. And I was really excited about this movie. We didn't have any promotional material for it yet, just the synopsis, but it had pretty much finished filming and they said it was going to come out in 24, so I thought it was safe to leave it on the list. But the story goes that they tested this film and the higher up said there's not enough John Wick style action in this thing and there's not enough John Wick. We want both of those things. And so they went back to the drawing board and pushed Ballerina off to 2025. They have since released a trailer and the trailer looks incredible. The action that we've seen in that trailer looks great, and you get John Wick at the end of that trailer stepping off a train, so I'm ready for it. It will probably be on my top 10 most anticipated for 2025. And the final movie that did not make it into release in 2024 was the movie that hurts me the most that it didn't release, and that is Chris Stuckman's Shelby Oaks. Shelby Oaks is a film that I have been looking forward to now for several years. I have followed Chris along his journey of making this film. I actually donated to the campaign of raising funds for this film. I've watched all the behind the scenes footage. I've also seen the spoiler-free reviews of those few people that were actually able to see this film at a festival this year, but late in 2024, they sold the film to Neon, and Neon took the film and said, we're going to release it in 2025 after it's done a few more festivals. So we didn't get it in 24, which is extremely disappointing, but I am looking forward to watching Shelby Oaks in 2025, and who knows, Neon put out one of the greatest horror movie promotions that I've ever seen with Longlegs, and maybe they'll give that treatment to Shelby Oaks. I'm hoping for the best for Chris. Let's see what happens. Shelby Oaks was moved to 2025. But with that said, we can now rank the 7 films from my list that actually did come out in theaters this year. I did have a chance to sit down and watch. And also, all of these films have a full review on my channel. If you'd like to watch more of my thoughts on these movies, you can check out those videos. With that said, let's rank the last 7 of these films from worst to best. Coming in at number 7, the worst movie on my list, one of the most disappointing movies of the entire year. It was my number 2 most anticipated movie of 2024, and it is Joker 2. This is, of course, Todd Phillips' sequel to the smash hit that was Joker in 2019. It once again brought back Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, and this time brought in Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. All the pieces were there to make a phenomenal follow-up to that billion-dollar film, and instead they gave us a musical, and then after the movie came out, they said, oh yeah, Arthur Fleck, he was never Joker. Why did you guys get that impression? He's not just wearing clown makeup and calling himself the damn Joker. I don't know what they were thinking when it came to this film other than, all right, we made $1 billion, let's see how little we can make this time around. I don't understand it. The movie completely fell on its face for me. I didn't enjoy hardly anything about this film. I will say on a positive side that I thought that Lady Gaga gave a good performance, and I think Joaquin Phoenix gave a good performance as well. However, all of the musical elements they put into this film really just made it dead on arrival for me. At number 6, guys, we have The Fall Guy. And The Fall Guy wasn't really a bad film. I just think the other 5 movies we're going to talk about in a minute were better than this one. It was a TV show that I had no idea was ever a TV show. Went in kind of blind to this film, other than the fact knowing that it was Ryan Gosling playing a stuntman, or a fall guy as the movie is called, and he works for Emily Blunt, who is the director on his film, but also was once his girlfriend. So this movie is sort of a action / romantic comedy film all mashed into one, and I thought all those elements worked. I thought the action scenes were fun to watch, although corny at times, and also thought the comedy and the romantic side was done really well. I think Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling had great on-screen chemistry together. I would watch this movie again. In fact, it's a movie I picked up on Blu-ray, so it is my number 6 of 2024. At number 5, the most recent movie to hit theaters on this list, and it is Gladiator 2. Gladiator 2 is, of course, Ridley Scott's follow-up to his original, some would call masterpiece film in Gladiator from the year 2000. I thought this was a nice complementary piece to that film. I thought it continued the story very well. I thought that making Lucius the main center of this film, being Maximus's son, and I thought bringing in Denzel as this snake in the grass character, all of that worked really well for me. So the story elements, the action elements, they all worked. It was a nice complementary piece. Is Gladiator the superior film? Yes, it is. Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix give incredible performances. The action was great. The storytelling was great. But I thought this was a fun complementary piece to that movie. At number 4, we have the X trilogy conclusion in Maxine. I loved so much about this movie. It is, of course, the final conclusion to the X franchise. In 2022, we were given X, and then we were given Pearl in that same year. Pearl took place before X and was about the character of Pearl's backstory. In X, you get to see Maxine and a bunch of other porn stars go to a cabin in the woods and then get murdered by Pearl and her husband throughout that film, until the film finally sees Maxine get the upper hand on Pearl. And this film of Maxine is the conclusion of that story, where Maxine has finally made it to Hollywood, but now is seeing the price that you have to pay to be in Hollywood. There's a Night Stalker going around killing so many people. You've got a really shady private detective played by Kevin Bacon going around making her life miserable. And I love the conclusion of all of these different characters in the X franchise. By the end of this movie, you see Maxine has made it to where she wants to make it, but there has been a huge price that she had to pay. My only real negative coming away from Maxine is that I wish they would have used Pearl a little bit more. They did use Pearl in the scene where you've got the psycho house. I thought all of that was done really well, but at one point she runs into that house and I was like, okay, we're gonna get some trippy, weird moment between Pearl and Maxine, and it never comes. And that was too bad. I wish they would have incorporated Pearl a little bit more into Maxine's psyche throughout this film. We didn't get that, but we did get a really good film, and that's why it's at number 4. At number 3, we have Fede Alvarez taking us into space for Alien Romulus. This is one of my favorite movies of the entire year. I love movies that take place in space, so this movie was right up my alley. And I love how Fede Alvarez was able to blend the horror aspect from Alien and the action aspect from Aliens, and blend them very well for Alien Romulus. The movie serves as a bridge between those two films. You get lore from that first Alien movie, but what I really liked about it is that it blended the style of those two movies so damn well. The aliens are terrifying throughout the film. The face huggers are somehow even more terrifying throughout this film. My only negative for this movie was the way they ended one of the aliens. I didn't like the big alien reveal at the end of this film. It still doesn't sit with me very well, but I've only seen the movie once and I plan on rewatching it very soon. All right, guys, we made it to the top 2, and at number 2, we have Bad Boys: Ride or Die. This movie was so much fun, and I don't know how many other people are going to have it this high on their list for the entire year, but I loved this movie. I laughed the entire time. The action scenes were so much fun, and the camera work, which I have talked about time and time again on this channel, I think that the camera work was done so damn well. I love so much about this movie. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith still have incredible on-screen chemistry together. They're both hilarious throughout the film, and there's that scene with Reggie. Like, we could talk about the action scenes all day in this movie, but that scene with Reggie was incredible. You're watching it through Ring cameras, but as it zooms into the screen, you're there in the house with him, and the only thing I can compare it to is John Wick. And so if you had told me I'd be comparing a Bad Boys scene to John Wick, I'd have said you were crazy, but they do it so damn well. I had a lot of fun with this film, and I loved watching this in theaters, not once, but twice this year. All right, guys, we've made it to number one, and at number one, should be no surprise if you've been paying attention to my channel this year, my top most anticipated movie of 2024 is Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this was my number one most anticipated movie as well, and it didn't let me down at all. I think that this movie did a great job of blending the humor and action from the first two Deadpool movies, but also integrating that into the MCU, which has been a very PG-13 universe, and I thought they blended that so damn well. Also, Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine is really the selling piece for me. When he died in Logan, it was such a low note to see his character exit on, but getting to see Logan once again on the big screen fighting alongside Deadpool, there's nothing like it. I have not had an experience in a theater like that since Endgame. I mean that. It was such an incredible experience. I watched it on the Thursday that it came out, and then I watched it that same Saturday that it came out. I now own it on 4K, and I've watched it at home at least twice. I love so much about the film. It's funny. It's got incredible action in it. It was everything I wanted it to be and everything I needed it to be. Deadpool and Wolverine is my number one for my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024. And guys, that's my top 10 most anticipated movies ranked from worst to best. Have you seen any of these movies? If you have, let me know in the comment section down below how you would rank them. Obviously, these weren't your top 10 most anticipated movies, but if you did have a top 10 list that's different from this, I'd love to know what it was, and if you've seen all those, how you would rank those now. Finally, guys, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button because it helps the video, it helps the channel, and it helps me right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. All right, guys, we got to the end of my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024 list, ranked from worst to best. I hope you guys had as much fun watching this as I had fun making this video and watching the movies throughout the year. If you like these kind of ranked lists, keep an eye out on my channel in the next month, because at the end of December, I will be dropping my top 10 best of the year, my top 10 worst of the year, my top 10 most disappointing of the year, my top 10 most surprising of the year, and the superhero movies that released in 2024 ranked from worst to best as well. So a lot of ranked lists coming out in about a month, and between now and then I'll be dropping a bunch of movie reviews. My point is that there's a lot of stuff coming to the channel, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. If you want to watch other content in the meantime, though, I've got all of my best and worst of 2024 right there, and I've got all of my 2024 movie reviews right there.